money them a teeth. And them a sell out the beach. Can't for me again. You can't for me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. Can't buy Kenyan, we can't buy time. You can't for me again. Can't for me again. You can't for me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. You touch up line and I resort to crime. You can't for me again. Come me say big up all the charities and all of the givers. Some a go like say them powerful, me no make a bigger. The urgent the promises done and them not deliver. Cut up the youth and rough and it's down in the whatever. Them a bold money and they lie them tell. Corruption smell and they pocket them smell. When police don't a market like Satan out of hell go mash up people start and people them spell. Deep on me. What they treat the market man. Deep on me. What them a treat the cat man. Deep on me. What they treat the peanut man. Deep on me. What them a treat the dirt man. Deep on me. What them a treat the son man. Deep on me. What them a treat policeman. Stibby dim day. We in Global TV says certain kind of friend we no keep. And some informer friend we love like we in Global. Bona fake friend and bona tape. We in Global. We not promote them. We not support them. Look at them on the cheek come here represent for we in Global TV. Check it.
Good evening and welcome to Buchanan versus Llewellyn. You have 2 days to watch and listen what happened at the Privy Council. This evening, it is your evening to have your panel discussion, your own table talk, to log into the system and discuss with each other what the hell happened over the last 2 days. Isat Buchanan represented against King Charles and the state of Jamaica. Paula Llewellyn represented for King Charles and the state of Jamaica. Which of those two Jamaicans over the last 2 days make you feel really proud to be a Jamaican? Good evening and welcome to Global Television. Thank you all for joining us. I don't know what I'm going with Facebook from yesterday. I'm getting a hissy fits not connecting to my StreamYard. So I'm not streaming on Facebook until I manage to sort whatever feelings Facebook have out. But good evening to those on the X, on Twitch, on YouTube. Good evening. Good evening and welcome to this Your Own Table Talk of Buchanan versus Llewellyn. In the top of the chat, there is a link. It is your evening this evening where you can pop into the studio and have your discussion as to how you felt about the child, what you learned, what you understand, what confuses you, whether your DPP let you and the country down or let justice down, whether Isat Buchanan stood for justice and make Jamaica proud. This is your evening to have that discussion. Good evening to everyone on the live. Good evening to all of you in the chat. Good evening to Agency Driver 5. Good evening. Wagwan. Make It Make Sense TV. Good evening and welcome. Ollie Foster. Good evening and welcome. Cousin Marina Bryan. Good evening and welcome. How are you? Sunshine. Good evening and welcome. Dorothy Elliott. Good evening and welcome. Debbie Jervis. Good evening and welcome. How are you? Beulah. Good evening and welcome. Good evening, everyone. Cousin Jamie Too Cool. Good evening and welcome. Cynthia B. Good evening and welcome. Brittany Lyon. Good evening and welcome. Veteran, Wagwan. Good evening and welcome to you, my friend. Good evening and welcome. Dorothy Elliott, good evening and welcome. Michelle Lewis Wilson, God's Gift, good evening and welcome. Patricia Matthews, good evening and welcome. Lorna Emery, good evening and welcome. Brittany Monio, good evening and welcome. Sharon Powell, Good evening and welcome. Thank you all for joining us. Isilda Williams, good evening and welcome. Welcome, Jamaican Carlos. How you do? Go on. Good evening and welcome. Rodney Reed, good evening. Stacy, good evening and welcome. CC, good evening and welcome. Mumat Smith, good evening and welcome. Thank you all for joining us this evening. And good evening. I am Roger Forbes. I am Roger Forbes. Is my brother. Good evening, and welcome. Audrey Robinson, good evening and welcome. Carlene Booth, good evening and welcome. Antoinette Myrie, good evening and welcome. Good evening. Thank you all. Thank you all for joining. Jamaican Foodie, good evening and welcome. Good evening to everyone and welcome. Now, Paula is here on a state duty. She is here as the chief prosecutor of Jamaica. Who paid Paula fare? You, the people, paid Paula fare all the way to come to Wowayanda to represent you. But the only representation we saw from Paula was writing and pushing notes. Were you represented by Paula as a Jamaican? Or were you represented by Isat Buchanan as a Jamaican, even though in the case, Mensa, good evening and welcome. Even though in the case, Isat Buchanan was represented against King Charles and the state of Jamaica. Who made you feel proud? Me not go talk this evening, you know. So, honor for coming and come have on a discussion when my question is why Paula did not speak. That is a good question, Stacy. Was she muzzled by Isat's eloquence, or was she muzzled by Joan Brown? Good evening. Was she muzzled by the injustice and the lack of following procedure that she was involved in? Because at one point she was called into the trial for clarity over the whole jury debacle. Good evening, Winston Dawkins, and welcome. Now, amongst all the issues and all the facts in the case, the court was concerned particularly with three legal issues raised in the case by Sean Campbell and others' team. The issues that were raised in the case, let me pull it up on my hold on, I can read from here. No matter what the issues surrounding the trial, let me, because my eye don't so hearty with them fine writing, yeah. Hold on. Right. So there you can see on screen what are the legal issues they were looking at in this case. Number from 1 to 3 are the three legal issues that the court, the civil, the privy council is concerned with. Of course, you will hear facts from the trial being discussed. But what the justices is concerned with is to answer these three questions when they return with their judgment in a matter from 4 to 12 weeks, or could be from 4 to 16 weeks. But the first question for the judges, the justices to answer is, should the trial judge have excluded the telecommunication evidence relied on by the prosecution? Now, a lot of us are aware who followed the cartel case that there was huge discrepancy in relation to his phone when it was seized, when it was tampered with, allegedly, and the information gathered from his telephone and how it was gathered and the request that was made to Digicel, whether that was whether that evidence should be admitted in the trial. So that's the first question for the justices to answer. You probably haven't heard them much going on about that during the hearing. This would be because what is set out on paper, because an appeal is a paper-based, here is a paper-based trial. Even though you see these 2 days played out in court, but the whole case is outlined on a paper that the judges have for quite some time now to study all the facts, the entire bundle of the case. So their duty is to first answer the question whether the prosecution was right, whether the judge was right to admit the telecommunication as evidence that the prosecution relied on, and whether it was achieved in a tainted manner. So that's the first question for the justices to answer. The most contentious one is that's what you heard. The legal arguments and the legal submissions going on over the last 2 days is how should the judge have handled the allegation that there was attempt to bribe a member of the jury during the trial? Should the jury or the particular jury or the particular juror said to have offered the bribe have been discharged? So the issue here is whether the judge should have discharged, when it came to the judge's attention, should the judge have discharged the tainted or the poisoned jury? It even goes further. Should the judge discharge that whole jury pool and reappoint another whole jury pool? Should the tainted jury be removed from the pool and reappoint another jury to make sure there's a 11 jury as supposed to be on the trial? So that is the second question for them to answer. The issue here is the law is procedures. Following the correct procedure is as important in a case as applying the correct law. The issue here with number 2, the judge had power and discretion, the trial judge had power and discretion to exercise also a procedure to follow once it became knowledge that the jury pool is tainted. In the interest of justice, then the judge ought to exercise the power and discretion given to him to protect justice rather than to end up where we've ended up with a tainted jury pool. So this is for the justices now to answer based on the submissions on paper in the case and the clarity and submissions made by both sides. So that is the second question that they need to answer. One of the other issue again in the case was, were the jury sent out too late and been pressured into coming up with a verdict. So in what you hear they referred to the bench book, it carries a lot of procedures and practice directions, which ought to be followed by the trial judge. So if it's coming too late in the evening, the bench book would have that prescribed time. Then what the court would have done, should have done, rather than send the jury into deliberation, is bring the jury back tomorrow morning and send them into deliberation so they have the whole day to go through deliberation rather than is squeezed and rush to come up with a decision because it's getting too late in the day and this is a high profile case and we want to bring a resolve to it. So that is the issue. Those are the legal issues that the Privy Council is concerned with. They will not be making a decision. Audrey Robinson, agnostic, Sonia Ellis, good evening all and welcome. Good evening and welcome. They will not be going over, Lisa Stanley, good evening and welcome, the facts of the case per se. They won't be going over whether this evidence is true or not. They're not going over the whole evidence that went through trial. What they are concerned with is the 3 legal issues that was raised from the trial and appeal. So that is what the court is concerned with, and that's the argument around the justice's decision. But when they return with their decision, Lady Janice, good evening and welcome. It could be quite, in such a complicated, high-profile case that has been through the stages in Jamaica, it could be quite a lengthy document where, in such a judgment, they have to look at what happened at the first stage, look at how the trial judge dealt with it at the Crown Court level. They will also look at how all of this will be expressed in writing. They will look at how it was dealt with by the trial judge. They will also look at how it was dealt with by the appeal court, because they have to outline what happened before it gets to them, why they are coming up with their decision. Then you are going to have 5 justices having their own opinion on the issue. In a case where everybody, it's a unanimous decision where everybody is agreeing with it, then you will have one broad opinion written by the president of the Supreme Court or the Privy Council, and then everybody is in agreement with that statement. Or if there is someone dissenting at the very last spot, their dissent would come. But at the very end, the last sentence you would see is the appeal is allowed or the appeal is dismissed. If the appeal is allowed, it means cartel wins. If the appeal is dismissed, it means cartel loss, and that is the end of the issue. The sentence imposed by the state of Jamaica stands. Angela 48349, good evening. Good evening and welcome. Thank you all for joining us. Have you liked and shared the live yet? That is a way that you'll support our platform by liking and sharing the live. But if you have a view on what happened in court over the last 2 days, in the top of your chat, there is a link. You can just hit that link. It will take you straight into my studio. You don't have to turn your camera on, nor do you have to type your name in. And you can give your view. You can give your view on what happened today. I have given you a front seat for 2 days. Let us know what you have learned, what have confused you, and who made you proud over the last 2 days as a fellow Jamaican. But as always, once again, a massive congratulations to Isat Buchanan and his performance yesterday. So, no, don't have a few out I want to watch over the last 2 days. No, man. It can't be that. But seriously, people of Jamaica, you paid Paula Fair to come up here, you know. You picked up the bill to send Paula here to the Privy Council to do what? What did you send Paula Llewellyn to the Privy Council to do? What did you, the people, send Paula Llewellyn at the Privy Council to do? Debbie Jervis, good evening and welcome to Global Television. What is your view on Llewellyn versus Buchanan?
Okay. Um, you know my name for her, Madam Bulldog in the lipstick. You know, listening to her British representative, I'm sitting here and I'm watching this and I'm like, are these people for real? She mucked up big time and is sitting there like, oh, it was nothing. It was just a little bit of water spilled on the ground and we wiped it up with a piece of paper towel. Lady, no. You kept a juror was that everybody knew was trying to taint the jury pool by bribing them. And you thought nothing of it. Oh no, it's fine. It's just one person. It's just one person. But yet you saw nothing wrong with that. But yet after the trial and the sentencing and the prison term that the man has started, you went right to that juror, charged him, sentenced him, and sent him to jail. So if nothing was wrong with it while they were in the jury room trying to contaminate everybody's decision, why did you go ahead and after the fact and charge this person?
Both Paula and the Chief Justice of Jamaica has failed. Because
Big time.
especially Paula, who was called to advise on the case, even with their judicial and legal experience, looking in other jurisdiction, particularly the British jurisdiction where they're bound to look in when it comes to precedent, they didn't look and realize that if I continue with this, I'm giving heads up to them to have a successful appeal.
Exactly.
When I carry on the trial in this way. And what people need to understand from this, it's how important it is showing that procedure matters as much as law matters.
Exactly. Following proper procedure. And I'm listening to her representative again, and he is trying so desperate. When I said this man was grasping at straws, in my opinion, he went back all the way to the 1800s to read some law, old law, about if one juror um, is tainted and the majority of them are not, as long as it's not in, like, I think he said it was in a murder trial or detriment to the case. And I'm sitting there going, is he really listening to what he's reading?
He's not the one who done that, you know. Paula is the one who did. The cases were prepared from Jamaica by Paula. The state case was prepared by Paula.
Right.
Isat prepared the case for his representative. So whatever you see those two barristers presenting, the two British barristers presenting, it what was prepared from Jamaica, because barristers in England do not prepare cases, they only present. The
Present
cases
them.
have to be prepared by a solicitor. So all of that crookedness you see he was presented, it
Was
is what
all on her.
Paula prepared and gave him to present.
And when one of the justices asked him, they're asking him about, so you don't think that made a difference? And he was like, oh, no, I don't think. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm sitting there and I'm going, okay, so if this was your son or your daughter on trial and you had one person in the jury room trying to taint and, well, they did taint and contaminate the whole jury, you wouldn't think it was something, a matter of importance to get rid of that juror, throw out the whole jury and start with a new jury pool? And I'm sitting there going, really? Somebody called her new name is Gappy. Miss Gappy, hello. You didn't think that was wrong? And if you didn't think it was wrong as it was going on, why then would you turn around again, like I said, and charge the person that is accused of trying to taint the jury, the whole jury?
Or if they didn't recognize that there was a massive problem, why did you call upon the DPP for her advice and expertise while this whole thing was
Was
unfolding?
going on? They all knew about it. That's the part that's really getting to me. They all knew about it. They know it was wrong, but it was like, since we're already this far in, let's just continue. No,
Let's proceed. Yes, yes.
that's
Because of our
crazy.
tainted justice system, not a lot of people have the money to pursue these things to the level that it is at the moment.
Right. And I am extremely proud of the way Isat when he presented his argument. I was sitting there like, oh, look at Mama Baby. Mama's so proud of her baby. Spoke eloquently, precise, concise, and just got his point across in no time.
Is the
And
people of Jamaica aware that Isaac Buchanan came to the UK out of his pocket, but the director of public prosecution and her
came on
team
came on
came on
taxpayers'
the
dime
pocket of the state and the state of Jamaica, the taxpayers' pocket? The state sent her here
to
to do what?
continue the lie, and trying to continue
But
to
she could have
cover up.
no, but she could. If you note what she did push, if you note what she did right and push yesterday, she could have might as well sit down and watch it over YouTube like the rest of it, and then
And send email.
sending in a WhatsApp or email.
Uh-huh. Exactly.
She could do that from home. I don't see the point of Paula Llewellyn coming here on taxpayers' money to insult us and to protect the cover up, even when she knows it's
And the
out of
lie.
her.
Yeah. She could have stayed right in her office there and watch it on YouTube and send her WhatsApp or her email, because some information that Mr. Pinkster was missing this morning, he got it via email. So she could
Exactly.
have stayed her rump right there in Jamaica, cool her heels, but no, she want to go show off like says she big boat. Yeah, lady, you're a liar. You're a corrupted, crooked person, and that's the reason Kandru changed the constitution to have you stay there longer, because they knew an appeal was coming up, and they knew Isat was on his game, and they
Yes.
knew that she was dead in the water for all her corruption and her crookedness and criminality on this case. So he kept her there to try to well, he kept her there to continue to cover up. That really and truly, that's what it is,
Because
and to
they
cover
want
his backside.
they want this crooked case to be prepared by Paula and sent up to the Privy Council.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this was a reason for them making sure entrenching her because they think her preparing the lie, the Privy
Who's
Council
gonna
is
believe
going
it?
to go along with it. The
Hmm.
Privy Council don't play with jury. The UK justice system do not play with jury tampering.
They do
I
not.
was sitting as a law student. I was sitting in observation of a murder trial. It was a 12-man jury,
Hmm.
and one of the jury. The thing that confuses me about this jury pool, when you're selecting a jury, you do not select the 11 that will be sitting on the case. You would select for a trial probably around 22
Yes,
juries if
yes,
it's
because I've been selected to be part of a jury, but like the alternate. And I
because
had to
when you
sit in the courtroom and wait.
because when you get to the jury pool, there's more than the 12 that will be needed, and when them
Hmm.
shape up the hat that day and pick out the 12
Hmm.
they require, the rest had to be there as reserve. So if anything
Yes.
happened, somebody sick, somebody dead, somebody breached the rules or whatever,
Hmm.
they get discharged from the jury and a new jury replace them. So I'm
Absolutely.
confused. Did they only have a jury pool of 11 people selected from the voters list for this trial? Why they couldn't have discharged the tainted jury and replace them, or why they couldn't discharge the whole panel?
Who they should see. That's, I think, part of the big cover up too. They didn't have a overflow or reserve alternates. Let's put it that way. Or they had alternates, but
Which would have been a procedural violation also.
yes, but they probably had the alternates, but because they were so deep into the criminality and the crookedness, they couldn't or didn't want to stop midstream to pretty much start all over again because the
But
Gappy,
Debbie,
the
Gappy did the same thing. In remember that case the other day where Gappy did the exact same thing. That young man who committed the rape and pled guilty, and the judge was going to impose a non-custodial sentence. What did Paula do in the interest of justice? Withdraw the trial from
she
the judge,
oh
quash the trial, and is going to restart the trial again because she want a custodial sentence.
right,
So
she
that same power could have been exercised then.
very much so, very much so. But you see, they all so crooked. They think we're all stupid and that we can't read and read between the lines and listen to what is said and listen to what is not said and read what is printed and read between the lines of what is not printed. And it just irks my soul how these people think every single person who listen, read, and hear these things are dunce. They think they are the smartest things on the planet Earth, and they're the brightest bulbs in the box that nobody else is going to see and realize and see through their nonsense and figure it out. So when people start reading, listening, and start figuring it out, now that's when everybody's sputtering like car that backfiring or motorcycle that backfiring, and they start backpedaling and trying to throw more crap on the already pile of crap to try to dissuade us from thinking and seeing and realizing the actual truth and what should and should not be done and said. That's all that is.
How
They take people for fools.
how serious is this, and what's the threat to our democracy under a republic?
Well, um, you know, my stance on us being Jamaica being independent was we're not really independent because we're relying on the British Crown for so many things, like this Privy Council right here. But after just these 2 days of testimony and information, yeah, we need to stay under the Privy Council. Because if this was in Supreme Court land of Jamaica, oh my gosh, he would have got 100 years. And if it got to where to this the Supreme Court, which would be the highest court in the land, in synonymous to the Privy Council, yeah, she would have been right, and right again.
Was the
Nothing was
Supreme
changed.
Court or was the justice system corrupted in this trial?
In Jamaica, yes, absolutely. No two ways about it. Just the fact of the juror that was bribing other jurors alone, and nothing was done while it was happening because, like I said, the DPP knew about it, the judges knew about it, everybody knew about it, and they did nothing. They let the trial continue. Of course, that's corruption because they were trying to get that they had it out for Vibes, they had it out for him, and they figured might as well let it go, continue because we going to get what we want. We going to get him convicted. We going to get him jail time. It's corruption. No two ways about it. Because if it wasn't, they would not have gone back and tried to cover up their corruption by taking care of that juror, charging them, sentencing them, and send them to jail. That's
Even if
part of
there
their
wasn't,
cover up.
even if there wasn't the fact and there was the perception by the court that the jury pool is
Was
tainted,
tainted. Mm-hmm.
in the interest of justice, the trial judge have a duty to act to protect justice
Yes.
on all fronts.
At all costs. Yes, absolutely. Should have stopped
the
it.
trial judge in this case did not do all that. He probably
Nothing.
followed guidance and direction that was given outside of law, but not within law or legal procedure.
Exactly. Because, like I said, they're going on this old 1800 law that says if it's only one person in the whole jury pool that is seemed to be carrying on misconduct or is tainting or trying to taint the pool, it's fine. What? I'm sitting here going, wait a minute. Why did you people not put yourselves in this man's shoe? Because you're so blinded with revenge and hate. You would not put yourself or your family member in his shoe and say, well, if it was my son, my daughter, my mom, my dad, my auntie, my uncle, my grandma, my grandpa was on trial for this quote unquote murder that they had no body for, why would I want them to say, yeah, only one juror is misconduct. We can leave it at that. No, because that one juror had the potential to taint the entire jury pool.
Correct.
Why would you not put a stop to that? This woman was so blinded with rage and anger and was so hell-bent on getting Adidja into prison. She had been looking for and searching. She had a flipping microscope and a what do you call them? Binocular lens, trying to find something to get him on for years. And it didn't matter what the background information was, as long as she could get a conviction.
During that time of the trial, during the time around that time, Peter Bunting, I'm going to pull back those things and come back another day. But Peter Bunting was in the diaspora during that time, and he was presenting cartel as a nemesis in Jamaica and all of that. But
Mhm.
I'm gonna pull back all of what the Minister of National Security then was doing, and if it connects into the timeline of the trial, what that could be seen as then, even though he's not now, would have been sub judice, where he is commenting, he is trying to sway public opinion while
Okay.
a legal case is before the court. But I'm going to pull back all of those things that he was saying around the 2011 so on time.
Mhm.
But this shows that our justice system can be an utter mess, from our director of public prosecution to our chief justice in Jamaica. The system can be an utter mess because the rules and the regulation and the procedures are there. But in a corrupt system where blind eye can be turned, or
Mhm.
a me rule this office, so whatever me do say, this is what is mashing up every one of our systems and institutions. That level of corruption, that
Yeah.
level of um, technocratic and bureaucratic corruption.
Listen, they have the and their main goal, I think, is to cover all of the folks that have two pennies to knock against each other. If you don't have two pennies to rub against each other, no
Dog name your
questions
pizza.
asked. Dog, yam your supper and your dessert and everything else. You're gone
Mhm.
straight to prison. No questions asked. Because look at the Donnelly Donaldson case.
Kicking in the long grass.
Oh my God. How many damn times are they gonna take this blasted junker to court to
Well,
give him bail and not trying to get him his backside to trial to get him to say why him do with the woman picnic. We know there's no two ways about it. We know he killed her in that apartment. We know that. And brought her body out in the flipping couch. We know that. All the Miss Sophia Log want to know is why him do with our daughter body
mhm,
so she can
mhm.
get a proper burial. And this dog is just so tight-lipped. And they are allowing it to continue. Now, watch Miss Bulldog in lipstick. May go see how long it going to take her to dismiss this case or say lack of evidence or all this other nonsense that she has done to so many other people. No, you can't prosecute. You can't have a trial. The trial date time gone by. It's too old. It's too long. It's too far. Time gone by. There's no evidence. Really? Where was your lack of evidence, madam, in this case when on looking for the young man body?
Is
Where
it
was your
time
lack
for
of
a new
evidence then?
call? Is it time for a new call from Jamaica? Is it time for Jamaicans to make a new and decisive call for Paula Llewellyn to go?
Absolutely. Should have been. Should have been. That's what I would say. Conjure, change the constitution in the darker night to change her time of leaving and her age of leaving to keep her there to continue the crookedness and the lies to cover his backside and all of his friends and cronies' backside. Because seriously, honestly, why else? Why else? Why else would she be there still? She
We
get
live
a
in a
bag of money.
crazy justice system.
The justice system needs a complete and total overhaul in Jamaica. Complete and total overhaul.
It does. It does. It does. It does. The issue is the corrupt mindset. Debbie?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, the corrupt mindset that exists in our country, how do we protect the system with a corrupt mindset? Because it's the
There-
people who corrupt the system.
We have to get
Even
rid of
if
them.
you
We
overhaul,
have to get rid of them.
Mhm.
Honest to goodness, Miss Say, they need to be what they need a complete washout, like with a hose and a broom. Like when people are street cleaner or market cleaner, a clean market, them have a hose and a push broom,
Because
washing it down and pushing it with a push broom. They got to go. They have
if
to go.
if when the justices came back and Isat win this case, does the people of Jamaica know, or is the people of Jamaica aware the legal expenses they will have to pick up for these, what, 5 men? Is it 4 or 5? Let me look back on the thing.
5. I think it was 5.
5.
4 guys and a girl.
No, 4. No, 4. Jones, St. John, Palmer, and Campbell.
Oh,
Is,
yes.
is the people of Jamaica aware the hefty legal bill they will be picking up should the Privy Council say this was a miscarriage of justice or this conviction is unsafe because of the jury tampering and all that? Is the people
Yes.
of Jamaica aware the legal bill that they, the people of Jamaica, will be picking up?
I don't think the majority realize that, but I also think that some would say they're happy to pay it because justice was served. I
Justice was
honestly
served at
believe that.
expense.
As far as those 4 guys getting, getting out of jail, getting out of prison, and I do believe a lot of people will be happy to say they got out and show the miscarriage of justice. But a lot are not aware because when them each individually start sue the Jamaica government now, we them are sue because it's a full tax dollars going to have to pay for any kind of payout because they're gonna win. They're gonna win. And
I
if
do have
when
a
they
strong
sue,
feeling the justices will rule unsafe conviction or miscarriage of justice.
right,
And if that is the case, we will be picking up a heavy
a very
bill.
big tab, a very big tab, very big tab.
We will be picking up a huge bill for that. And that was down to our Chief Justice and or Director of Prosecution who could have and who has more experience, legal expertise than the trial judge to give their advice and guidance to the trial judge in order to make sure they
The trial was
proceed in
fair.
the interest of justice and
Hmm.
fairness.
But she wasn't gonna do that because she had so much hate in her, so much hate in her for this man that she was not gonna do the right thing. And she has not done the right thing and still not doing the right thing. Still not doing it. I'm watching her body language today on video, and it's like when the justices ask a question of her representative and they lick him down with the question and him couldn't come back with an answer. All of a sudden he start laughing. Yes, what? What the hell do you have to laugh about? And for her whole countenance just changed, like she went from sand to stone face. And I say,
There was
yeah,
no, there was no reason for Paula coming to the UK.
Really and
Absolutely
truly,
not.
there wasn't, because I thought her being there, she was gonna get up and speak to the
Just
justices and say something.
just like we saw Isat did, especially
Right,
because remember, Isat stood to give clarity as to some of the questions the justices were posing to Hugh. Hugh is
right,
Isat's principal attorney on the case over here.
right.
Um, he stood up to give clarity to those points to the judge. I mean, even on the precise law that was used with regards to the jury that was sent by email, Paula could have stood and give clarity to those back and forth. The patwa part, where
Right.
Mr. Mandela read, Paula should have come
Oh
and
please.
give
Oh please. And
clarity.
him him mash up the already mashed up patois. And I'm like, dude, don't even try. Don't even try, please.
No, but so you see, it's not his fault. In a trial, what you have to paraphrase in exact wording. Then what you have to say that in the statement, you have to say what was said in exact wording, in
Yes.
accent and everything. This
Yes.
was where Paula, the director of prosecution,
He should have come up and said,
should have come up with the Jamaican linguistics and speak it in patois, then explain to the judge what it means
what it
in
means.
Jamaican dialect and in what context, Paula Llewellyn, would we use it. This is what should happen. The woman
She
don't see,
couldn't
don't see, don't
she
see,
couldn't
don't
come
see,
do it,
don't
man.
see.
Don't like a
The woman,
bat.
the
And that
woman
is no
don't,
disrespect to
don't
bats.
Jesus Christ, and we're paying for that. Hmm?
300%.
Dunce. When you hear fan said dunce, write Paula Llewellyn name on the
Yes,
dunce.
look up dancing at the dictionary, you see our picture.
Just the Paula picture next to it.
Oh yes.
Should Paula not feel ashamed of herself being in front of your arch nemesis, your rival, right
Mm.
in the highest pursuit of justice, and you make your junior, your rival, and your nemesis can show you up as a buck shuffle dummy? Hmm?
She not no shame tree, man.
No,
She have no shame tree. When shame was given out, she jump off the line. She didn't want none.
don't
She
still it
didn't
look
want
bad.
none.
Hmm? Don't still it look bad. Me can't understand why Paula leave Jamaica and came to the United Kingdom to sit in the Privy Council for we see our eyeglass and our teeth on camera, which we see every day.
Every day.
Hmm?
She come because Isat was there, and she not making the opportunity pass her to come try show him up. If him did it,
Well,
me I go did it too. Not
that showed
realizing that
her
the
up.
man buy his own ticket out of his own pocket
I thought showed her up.
like a mug.
I thought
Showed
showed
her up big
her
time.
up. Hmm?
Me say, I
Paula
mean,
don't
what you know? She, yeah, her whole demeanor changed. Me say when the justices start questioning the Pinkster man that represented her, and he couldn't answer the questions, and I'm like, sir, what do you mean it doesn't matter that there was only one juror that tried to taint the whole jury pool? It doesn't matter
that
because it was
was
only
that
one.
was
What?
Paula's lie. Blame Paula for that. That was Paula asked him to tell that lie on my behalf. Confuse the public on my behalf. Go
Like,
back to something irrelevant on my behalf. That was all
yeah.
Paula Llewellyn's doing.
And he kept saying, well, to my point, let me go back. Let me go back to my point. I kept repeating the same thing. So one of the justices said to him, yeah, and you keep repeating the same thing. It's not going to change. And I'm like, okay, dunce, do you understand now? Do you understand now? But the backpedaling and the shuffling and the confusion of going from here to there and going back to the 1800s and all this, I'm like, okay, so you realize that you done stepped in a pile of diarrhea in flip flops and you're trying to get it off your feet and it's not coming off, but you keep doing it thinking that, oh, let me walk in it again and walk out again and see if it'll come off this time. No, sir. No.
It
A
it
lie is
is
a
it
lie
is
is a lie.
normally it is normally a practice of these legal professionals, especially the one them was to say them depend the losing end. Believe it or not, a lot of them would go back to these medieval law contexts
Uh-huh.
because a lot of these law are medieval ideas and practices,
That
and
should have been outdated.
a lot of them are not outdated. They are still enforceable, good, as they would call it in the legal system, good law. So
Madness.
a lot of the legal system is full of the whole medieval, um, thingy. If anyone else wants to come in on the link, please do in the top of the chat. Hit the link and it will take you straight into the studio. That will take you straight into the studio. You don't have to turn your camera on. You don't have to put your name. You can type anything in there and you can come into the studio and give your opinion on the issue or what have confused you and
Hmm.
what you have learned. So you are free to join in the discussion and let us hear your views.
You know,
But Debbie,
and
I want
and
huh?
so
Say that
many
again.
people, so many people don't know the ins and outs of jury selection, serving a jury. You know, here, I know lots of people don't want to go serve on the jury. Me, I look forward to go serve on jury duty because it was a day out of work, you know.
I would
But
love
you
to serve
learn
on
so
jury,
much
Debbie,
while
because
there.
I don't want that responsibility, to be honest with you. I wouldn't want to serve on a jury. I don't want that responsibility, especially in very complicated cases.
Right.
I really don't want
Well,
that responsibility to one, send somebody to prison who might be guilty, and one, set someone free who should gone to prison. It's quite a huge
hmm
responsibility you have been given. And I've always said ever since I was going to law school and all that, I don't really believe in jury service. I would prefer believe in a panel of 12 judges rather than jury
hmm
service, especially in a very complicated trial
and high
where you're
profile
using
case, yeah.
complicated laws and you're using complicated case law and you're going back to medieval legislation and meaning and context of
All of that
it
foolishness.
too complicated. It is too complicated to follow for the ordinary person.
That is true. But I was always picked as an alternate. And after the trial start, you know, they would let us go. I'm like, okay, all right, I got a free day.
Exactly.
Oh, but yeah,
Exactly. But thank you very much for your views this evening, Debbie. If no one
you
else
are
is
welcome,
coming in,
sir.
everybody knows that my 1 hour is
It's
close.
up.
So if you have a view, my 1 hour is creeping up. So please hit the link and jump into the studio and tell us your views.
Yes. And while you're at it, please click that like button and share the live also and subscribe if you have not already subscribed to this channel. It'll do you
Definitely.
good.
So
My globalist family, have an absolutely wonderful evening and afternoon. And we shall
thank you.
talk.
Thank you
Thank you,
very
Sir
much, Debbie.
Wayne. Thank you for an
You
amazing job and explanation of a lot of the stuff that so many of us did not understand.
thank you very much.
All right. Have a great one.
All right, you take care.
All right.
Okay, bye. right? If anyone else wants to share their view or get involved in the discussion, it is now your time to do so. Otherwise, we are up on our hour. But if anyone else have a view, we can entertain. We can entertain. So if you do have a view and you want to jump in and say what you have learned, what confused you, then please do say so. If you have something to say to Isat, or if you have something to say to Paula, you can jump in and say so. So please do continue with the conversation. Also, as Debbie says, make sure you give us some likes, please. There's 200 and odd of you on the live, and only 80 odd of you have liked the live. So please do hit the like button to make sure the broadcast gets further out there. If you enjoy this program and you want to see this program grow, then please do support the program. Support the program by liking and sharing. That will help the algorithm. As I explained to you today, the algorithm works on a monkey see, monkey do. If the algorithm see that you are liking and sharing the video, the algorithm automatically start doing the same thing. Jabi, your system is not logging into the studio. The algorithm automatically start behaving the same. So if you want to support this program, please do give us some likes and some share, and that will help the program to go out there much further and faster. And that will be a great support for global television. But I hope you have seen justice at its highest level. And for some of you who may have never been into a British courtroom before or seen the British justice system in action, yesterday and today was your chance to see that. Patricia Matthews, good evening and welcome to Global Television.
Blessings, brother. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you doing?
Good. Yes, I was watching watching Isat, and I just wanted to congratulate him. He has made us so proud as Jamaicans, even though I wasn't personally born in Jamaica, but I still claim to be one, as I already told you earlier, about my parents.
Mhm.
And yes, and the way he presented himself in the court, it was excellent, And I should say, if he ever was to run for any high position, he would probably do well.
That is really true. He really make us feel proud as Jamaicans yesterday.
Yes, yes. I really was watching him again this morning, and when they showed the replay of him, and I just wanted to say to many of the ladies who were in the chat before I go any further, please show Wayne some love hearts, as yesterday was Valentine's Day. I just wanted to add that on. Show him some love, show him some heart, and let him feel appreciated. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for that.
Yeah, welcome. Yeah, and
Oh,
yeah, regarding Miss Paula, who was mentioned, I don't know
mhm.
why would she would enter the UK, as Miss Jarvis had stated. Because if that lady is, you always say if the riverhead is dirty, it follows the stream. And in order for
Precise.
Jamaica to move forward, we would love to be a Republican, I mean, a Republic nation. Um, but a lot of cleanup needs to be done. Andrew
I do
needs to
believe
go.
in that.
Yes, Andrew needs to go. Not only just Andrew, but also the other side of the party. A lot of cleanup need to go. I wish that Jamaica would have a total new party altogether in order for the country to move forward, just like
We need a
Barbados.
we need a cleanup in our justice system, in our political system, and in our law enforcement system in order.
Exactly.
Before we can
Exactly.
do a republic, we need control and reform over those three areas. Otherwise, we will not be able to control corruption and we'll end up in the same mess that we continue to waddle in, day out.
And that's what we don't want anymore. We want to put an end to corruption and crime in Jamaica. We want the country to move forward so it can, become successful. We need to excel just like the other countries. They keep speaking about Singapore, but are they doing anything to make it move forward? No. We need to make that change. And in order to make that change, this current administration has got to go. Definitely got to go.
Exactly. Exactly.
Definitely got to go. Now you see, all of this mess is what end up at the Privy Council because of all of these crimes, because nothing has been done. I mean, they can't say they're solving crime outside that is happening in the street. If they're not, if something's going on, if the riverhead is dirty, it will follow the stream, and it keeps coming. It will keep coming. So in
It's
order
true.
to get that water completely clear, we need to get rid of this administration. And as far
Yeah,
as the other administration need to go, yeah, as a matter of fact, both sides need to go, to tell you the truth.
exactly. Exactly.
Both sides need to go. I don't even know why they come out with all these false promises, and we are tired of all of these false promises. We're not going to take this no more. Enough is enough.
It is true. It is
Yep.
true.
I
Thank
just
you
wish
very much
that.
for your input. I've got another person in the studio I'm going to bring in. So thank you very much for
You're
your
welcome.
input, Stephen.
You're
It's very
welcome.
much
Thank you.
appreciated.
All
Thank you.
right. Have a blessed day. Take care. Bye bye.
And you as well. Jabi, good evening and welcome to Global Television.
Yes, hi, Wayne. I just have
Evening.
two things here. I want to point out. I was thinking that, if all right, I'm not saying whether Vibes Cartel did this or not. The point is, the Jamaican people are gonna have nobody to blame but the DPP.
And the Chief Justice.
Yes, right, because they're the one who fouled this whole thing up.
Yes, they are the one
Right?
who we would say the books.
Yeah, absolutely. Because even yesterday, I listened to the lawyer, and he was saying that the tainted jury basically did not. They're making it seem like he was for the defense, but he could have been playing either way. We don't know.
Regardless of whichever angle the
Yeah,
tainted pool came
right.
from, the
Uh-huh.
issue is it tainted justice and it tainted the perception of fairness and justice. And that is what
Absolutely.
the Chief Justice nor the
Mhm.
Director of Public Prosecution took into consideration.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They're trying to make it seem like the defense did something or trying to botch this up, but it could have played anyway. And like you said, the bottom line is that it was tainted. They screwed the whole thing up and they need to admit it.
Exactly.
You
They
know?
had a redress to proceed the trial either by removing that single juror and appointing another,
Right.
move that
Right.
whole 11 pool and appoint a new pool, or
Right.
you collapse the entire trial and you start a
Right.
new retrial.
Right. Because I have been on jury duty already. And basically what they did, I was an alternate, but we were watching the proceeding from behind.
Mhm.
We were in another room watching the proceeding on video. That means if anything should happen, they could pull anyone from the group and
Yes,
seat them in,
right.
and they would be really up to par as to what was going on.
Yes, yes.
So I'm not sure why they only had almost the exact amount that they were going to need for the trial.
Exactly,
Doesn't make any
because
sense.
there's a jury waiting room in the court which have
Right.
additional jury pool sit down waiting. Should anything happen, then
Right.
they shake the hat again and pick out somebody else to replace whatever happened. That's how it
Ex-
works.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
it's the British legal system that we adapt.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. But I'll just say this last thing and go. But what it
Mhm.
really shows right there is just how messed up the justice system is in Jamaica. And,
Very.
looking at the telephone thing for these guys, it's funny that we had this incident in Montego Bay with this 9-year-old that had his throat slashed. And it took a year for them to get a ruling to get that woman's phone. Really?
But what there are in that case, you see, that's the rich justice again here.
Ah, yeah.
Because they don't need that woman PIN number to get into her phone. There's two ways
Exactly.
here that you
Yeah.
can get information from her phone. You
Mm.
apply to Digicel for the cell site record of her phone to see the movements over a particular time. You also
Right.
apply under a court subpoena to Digicel for her phone records, which would
Right.
download on CD text messages,
Mm-hmm.
calls, back
Right.
and forth, and all of them something. Any message where she
Yeah.
send, any call she make on them something, any voice note she sent.
Right.
All of that can be achieved without our password. As to why they're playing the password game
Yeah.
in the is it ISA, the ISA thingy. That's
Yes.
another
Exactly.
level of corruption
Of
by the
course.
court.
Of course. Of course. Of course. Of course. It's amazing how they can pull whatever card they need. The other day, there was also a judge that handed down a life sentence for someone. And she was the one who went in and said she had to withdraw that. And the judge got mad because he said she could at least wait until he handed down the sentence and then appeal the case. Oh, she didn't wait.
Let me explain that case. This one was
Yeah.
a rape case that she withdrew the other day. But what the judge is saying as well, she also
Yeah.
in the past, she also withdrew a murder case from in front of him. So what Paula should
Oh,
have done in the cartel trial is what she had
right.
done previously and what she had done like 2-3 weeks ago if there
Exactly.
is interest, if you want to protect the interest of justice, then
Mm-hmm.
you can act as well as in the case that she did the other day. Her right was more to an appeal, a case stated appeal, rather than
Right.
squashing the trial and start afresh. So this
Exactly.
DPP is just an utter operating an utter dunceness.
Yeah, seriously, seriously, seriously. Oh, it is just really sad. Really sad. That you would want to do you're talking about somebody's life. The point is not whether he did or did not, right? The point is that you're looking at life imprisonment and you're botching up this case just to get a conviction. Seriously.
Yes. And that's where
Wow.
they went. Rather than following the correct
Yeah,
process to achieve justice, they botched
absolutely.
it in
Yep,
order to get what they want. And
exactly.
now
And you know what? Yeah,
us
go
that
ahead.
are picking up the expenses, and if the justices rule in
Right.
cartel and others' behavior, we have a
Oh boy.
legal hefty bill to pick up.
Yep. Yep, 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 yep. And they didn't want to restart with a new set of jurors or whatever they needed to do. However,
Mhm.
look how much it's going to cost them now.
Exactly. Exactly.
If you had done the right thing in the beginning, it probably wouldn't have gotten this far.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
Mm-hmm.
they had an ulterior motive. I'm sorry. That's all I got to
Oh, yeah.
say. Yeah.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Thank you very much for your input this evening. It is well
Yeah.
appreciated.
No worries. It's good being here.
Thank you very much.
I am Cynthia B in your chat, by the way.
Okay, thank you, Cynthia. Thank you, Cynthia B. You're welcome.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Okay.
You're
Bye-bye.
welcome. Bye. Yes. Do you have a view or should we go? Thank you all very much for being here this evening. We really, really appreciate all of you support. But this is the time that all of us as Jamaicans should stand up and calling for, and not just calling for, participate in a purge of corruption within our highest institution, or politics, or judiciary, and or law enforcement. Until we deal with the corruption at these level of our system, we will not have a corrupt or crime-free Jamaica. Nor would it be wise or sensible for us to go the republic route with such corruption and with such corrupt regimes running our country. My submission would be this wouldn't be the time, whatever time the referendum comes, for us, the state of Jamaica, to vote to move away from the monarchy. Of course, we want to remove away from the monarchy and we want to remove away from our oppressors. But if we are going to do it with the risk of unwholeness taking us to China and dictatorship and autocracy, that will be a higher risk. That will be a higher risk for generations to come. So my submission is hold on to the Privy Council until we can have control over how we change our legal and political system. This is where Global TV ends it this evening. Thank you all very much for being here. We really, really appreciate your support. And if you're watching the live and you have not yet subscribed, please make sure you subscribe and hit your notification bell so that whenever time we put out a broadcast, you will be one of the first to be notified. Thank you all very much for your support. We really appreciate it. Good evening from Global TV. We will see you later.